And by the way, it's very important to note, this is global. And you have dictators that, let's take a look at Australia. You have a country of what, 25.5 million people. The deaths are about 106, 110. 110 people out of 25.5 million, and you lock down the joint, and now you're locking down parts of it again. So this is going on globally. It's these power-hungry freaks that are in control.
Hi everyone. Okay, so this is the first video I've made since the one that I posted at the McDonald's talking with the police. It's reached over 100,000 views, and I've had messages from people all over the world, which is fantastic because it's good that they are aware that there's people in Australia standing up. That encourages them to do the same too. But I'm primarily interested at this point in time in Australia and the Australian people, and especially Victoria and the Victorian people, because it's Victoria that's being attacked the hardest at the moment. The effort is to take over Victoria and then move on, and until they've taken the rest of Australia. Now, this is a much bigger thing than most people understand. But I'm going to try and keep this fairly simple, because I'm getting lots of questions in regards to, look, I'm aware there's things happening and I'm beginning to realise I need to know my rights, and how do I do something when I go into a store and things like that. Okay, so I've drawn a little diagram here, and you'll notice that people who play football and so on, they draw up their team layout, and in warfare they do exactly the same. Okay, but I want us to understand that to win this particular war, to win the war against the corrupt system that is working at controlling Australia and therefore the Australian people, that we must think in a game sense. Okay, so we keep the strategy simple, we keep it fun. And although it's very serious because it's actually costing lives and so on, and putting people in very stressful situations, and some are taking their lives and so on, so it's very serious on one hand, but if we allow it to be too serious in the way we think, then it'll become overwhelming, and we'll melt down and lose courage and so on, and that's exactly what they want us to do. So you'll find me continually encouraging you to think childlike, okay? Childlike, not childish. Don't behave childishly, don't speak childishly, childlike. So the good form of a child, which is spontaneity and playfulness and all those sort of great things, okay? So when we win this, which we will, okay, and it won't take anywhere near as long as we think, we will win this. There's people out there who have all the right information, and when they're brought together in a team, and then the right people like yourself begin to understand your position and take your place, and play according to the overall strategy, then we can quickly bring this to an end for Australia. And then from Australia, we will operate in the system that was already set up by our forefathers and so on. So it's not that we go into chaos, we've defeated one and then you know, everybody's fighting over the other one. What one we're going to start, some new future, as they keep saying. There will be a new future, but it'll have the original solid foundations that were put in place by our forefathers, okay? So there'll be no need for anarchy or anything to be afraid of in the future, okay? Our new normal will be one of freedom, correctly operating with the people in power. We're the ones being given the power under the forefathers' original system, okay? It was stolen off us, and we're simply going to reinstate it, okay? So it's called setting healthy boundaries. We're going to set healthy boundaries with people, okay? First, we know who we are, what we believe, and what we want, and then we're going to go about it in a respectful manner, but a confident manner, okay? All right, so like any army or on a field, an opposition, their aim is to take the ball or to get the flag, okay? To take our flags and so on, or what we stand for, away, so that we're defeated. And our aim is to resist them, and to instead of being on the defense like we've been, we're now going to go on the offense. Okay, the best form of defense is always the offense. The military understand that, and good strategy coaches and so on understand that. Okay, all right. So first and foremost, you've got to go about your daily life, because that's all you really need to do, except for those who understand things like me, who are behind the scenes implementing more things, okay? So I'm going to talk about on both sides. So for starters, their first line of attack is to use the everyday individual, okay? At the moment, it's employees, okay? It's employees. So you walk in to buy coffee, the first thing they do is attempt to take your right to privacy away when the employee hands you a form and says, can you fill this out, please? And then if you say no, because you don't know how to go about it the right way, then they're told to tell you, oh, well, then I'm sorry, you can't stay here, you have to leave the store, okay? So that will be the first. I mean, their aim will be to have every individual fighting each other in the street, and it's happening to a certain degree, but we can easily avoid that. Just walk away, okay? Walk around them, go do what you need to do, and so on, okay? Try not to get caught up with individuals. The employee is the first major line of their attack on you. It will become a defense when you stand up, okay? Right, so the reason for that is they're in fear of their job. They can't walk away easily like an individual. If you happen to, be able to stand your ground, the individual might get upset and walk away, or they're going to yell louder or whatever. But again, you just walk away from them if you choose to. They don't affect much. Okay, but the employee affects the fact you want to sit down and have a coffee, or it affects if it's food shopping, that's going to be an even bigger issue, or getting your hair cut and so on. Okay, now, as if you're the employee, then I'd encourage you in a couple of things. You don't want to lose your job, obviously, and we don't want people to quit unless they absolutely need to. So whether you're an employee in a shop, or whether you're an employee as a policeman, or whether you're an employee as a judge, or even a politician, okay? And I'm going to talk about each of these. Don't quit unless you absolutely have to, because they're forcing you to bend your morals and to become cowardice and so on, okay? And if you can't do any more good in the facility, then by all means step out. You don't get destroyed in the process, okay? But if we have everybody just step out thinking, oh, they're behaving badly, like if it's the police or whatever, they're behaving badly, I'm just going to quit. Well, now all that does is it leaves the bad ones in there, and the door's open for them to employ more bad ones. The good ones aren't going to step in necessarily, and even if they try, they're going to be weeded out. They won't be allowed to get in. But you're already in there, you're entrenched. So I say hang on to the best you can, and just do your best to bring changes, or at least slow their progress, or do anything and everything in your power to disrupt the whole process, but doing it respectfully to the best that you can, okay? Courageously, but respectfully. Try and have fun in the process. Try and get them to eventually see the stupidity and crack up laughing and go, oh, yeah, you're right, this is dumb. And now you've won them over, okay? You begin to help them understand what you know and so on, and then they become on our side. So a bit like some movies, anyone who's seen, what's it called, Game of Thrones, you've got the army of the dead or whatever it is, and then they're actually able to raise up the fallen, and they keep marching on. Well, it's actually both armies can do this. One's destroying people, and then they get up and the manager says something nasty to an employee who's trying to be a good employee and everything. It happens in life well and truly before all this happening. We just didn't understand it, okay? So the manager bites and snarls at the employee, and the employee eventually gets sick of it, and then they're having troubles at home too or whatever, and combination of it all, they end up becoming nasty too, okay? So they've joined that side of the army and are hurting people, okay? However, when somebody goes and is kind, so if the manager's having a hard time and the employee goes and encourages them, even if they don't agree with their thought process or whatever, you can still find things to encourage out of a person, okay? A good leader always can bring gold out of the other person. And the interesting thing is the title's got nothing to do with it. You could be the employee and you can help them, the owner of the company, okay? So in the natural, they have levels. But if you go above that into the universal sort of, we'll say spiritual or whatever, you grab it whichever way you can maturely handle it and understand there's layers above. So if you walk up to a group of policemen, you could say, who's your leader here? And they'll point to the highest rank and then say, no, that's not what I mean. Who's the one who's most influential here? Because in the spirit realm, that's the true leader. He will say things into the ear of the supposed highest leader and get him to think the right way, okay? So start to think from a higher level all the time about how to overcome this system. Appeal to the most mature person there, the one who's received well by the rest and so on, okay? And bypass them, all right? So in an army sense, that would be, and again, like on the Game of Thrones and so on, they learnt that if they attacked and killed one of the ranked officers in that particular army, well then every soldier under him would drop down dead as well, because he was the one who'd converted them, and therefore when his power was gone, their power ceased as well, okay? And then our army's actually able to raise them up, because our army, so to speak, or our team is a team of life. It's bringing life into the situation. So we raise them up into life. They were already damaged, and then they start to taste the goodness of life and energy and excitement and fun and all those things that the system had drained the life out of them like a vampire sucking blood. They will start to regain that energy and so on, and their joy and their childlikeness and everything, and everyone around them will begin to enjoy them, and then because of that, they'll love being around people and vice versa, and away it goes. See? It's an easy system. All right? But we're going to have some challenges and some battles. We don't have problems, only challenges, okay? And they're not huge, they're only small challenges, and the ones that appear bigger to you can easily be handled by people like myself who understand more and have been working at it longer, okay? So we all have a place. Nobody's more important than the next. Doesn't matter. On a battlefield, everyone there, from the private to the 5-star general, is simply a man. He's just a man, and he holds a place. You don't have to agree with all of his decisions, his or her decisions. You respect them for their position, okay? And you find your position. So you don't fight with your fellow soldier. You understand you're on a team. If he's not doing so well, there could be all sorts of reasons. You don't attack him as well, okay? We encourage them so that they get back to a healthy place and a healthy mindset and healthy belief system and so on, and then they're marching strongly with us, okay? So we defend each other. And their side attacks each other. If they're not doing exactly what the other one wants, they attack them. If ours isn't doing exactly what we want, we defend them. So we support them, we encourage them, we remind them how valuable they are. We remind them of their worth in the things that they are able to do well and so on. And then when they're able to begin to get rolling with those things, they have belief again, then you'll find that they'll come out and really shine, okay? So let's go back to the basics with an employee. So you walk in, and the employee insists on something. Perhaps it's the mask, okay? We're getting to that place. You know, unless you've got a mask, you can't be in here. You just say, listen, I understand the situation we're in. Pull out your phone straight away. I encourage you straight away. You're going to have to help them get, you put them on the back foot, but respectfully, by making it very clear you're not just having a conversation between two people, it's now being recorded for the court, okay? And say to them, I like to give them a little bit of notice, because if you pulled a knife out of your pocket, for example, everybody would panic. But then you go to butter your bread, and everybody's like, oh, that was a bit of an overreaction. And if I say, oh, listen, guys, I'm just about to pull a knife out of my pocket because I want to butter my bread, you've now given them notice ahead of time so that they're not ready to try and defend themselves, all right? And usually that's in a form of attack. Okay, so just say, oh, okay, look, I'm just going to take my phone out and put it on record, and you do that sort of off to the side. And for the purposes of this, so we're both accountable with what's happening, I'm just going to video us having a conversation. Okay, so I'm just going to pop this up here, and if you wouldn't mind, can you please just state your name and your position, so that when and if I need to take this to court, the judge will be able to hear clearly exactly what happened, okay? Because what's happening is your manager or your owner of the company is using you to take away my lawful rights. I encourage you to keep using lawful, not legal, okay? That's the system they're operating off. Lawful. You're taking away my lawful rights, okay, and I don't like causing trouble, but you're the one putting me in the position. So, okay, the company at this point in time, always talk about, don't say you, because then they feel on the defence. talk about the one who's being bad to both of us. So you're the company, the owner of this company, your manager, the government. Always put the blame on somebody higher than them so that they can save face. It's very important people can save face, because if you push them into a corner, then all they know to do is come out attacking, okay? And then you look the bad one. We don't want that. Okay, so you would say, and then from there, they're like, oh, well, okay, don't worry about it. You can say, listen, I'm aware, perhaps you don't know, but I'm aware. I've learned some of my laws, and I'm aware that I actually don't have to. There isn't a law in place, a law notice, not their legal stuff that they're trying to write. There isn't actually a law that says I have to fill this out. Okay, so I'm not going to. And I still expect the service, thank you. Then if they try and kick up too much, don't waste time with them. Go up the ranks as fast as you need to, okay? Just say, okay, look, no problem. I understand they clearly haven't given you enough authority to be able to handle this situation. I'd like to speak to your manager, please. Okay, and then just go with that. And then if need be, I'll speak to the owner, please. I'll speak to the owner. Always go above them as soon as you have to. If you can't get love off them, if you know what I mean, then just go over their head, respectfully, okay? Otherwise, you'll waste your time in arguments with somebody who isn't even empowered to do anything anyway in a lot of the cases. That's what they do in call centres and so on. Okay? Now, if you are the employee, be honest enough. You may have to say certain things, okay, to keep your job, but be honest enough to give the full information. So you say, excuse me, my company is being asked. I'm being asked because my company is being asked, right, because the government's enforcing it on the company, that I am to request if you would fill out this form. However, I'm also aware that by law, you do not actually have to fill it out. Okay? Now, if the company's going to start giving you trouble about that, that's when you're going to have to take a stand against them with that. Okay? So then you would just say to them nicely, well, why am I in the wrong? I'm doing what I've been asked to request that they fill out the form. Okay? And I've told them that why, because the government has said that you have to, and I've told them the truth about the law, that they actually don't have to. Shouldn't a person be allowed to make up their own mind with all of the information? And you just kind of, play a little bit, not dumb, but you know what I mean? Like, well, why am I being attacked for doing the right thing? I've disclosed all the information. Surely that would be the right thing, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? Because what's happening is, I'll just step through it. You're going to get your everyday person who's running around with their opinion or whatever, and they'll have snipes at you. They're a bit like a sniper in the army. They have a pot shot at you from here and there, and then take off when it suits themselves and come in and attack you a bit more. Maybe they bring a few and surround you, and they all have a shot at you. You know what I mean? Okay, then you've got your employee. That's kind of like your private in the front line. Then you've got your manager. And then you've got your business owner. Now, that's to do with the companies themselves, all right? Now, outside of that, they will bring in the police. So they'll be a bit like, oh, well, we're not getting any love with you. We'll show you we're boss. So they'll call the police. Well, that's a bit like bringing the cavalry in. The cavalry sweeps around the side, comes in and swipes you out from the side, okay? So sometimes you'll have to learn how to jump from one battle into another battle, okay? And you step back from the employee. Don't try and fight many battles never try and fight a battle on many fronts. You get overwhelmed. So if need be, step aside. Be the one in authority without trying to pretend you're in authority. So if the employee's there attacking you and the policeman's trying to attack you at the same time, say to the higher perceived authority, the police in this case, listen, I'm having trouble understanding, you're both talking at the same time and so on. If you wouldn't mind, can you and I just go over here and have this conversation, and then we'll address the manager at a later stage. Okay, so we'll just go over here. Just come with me over here if you wouldn't mind, and we'll sort this out on your level, and then we can address the manager after that. Okay, and start walking. Start walking. You're in charge. Okay, but do it respectfully. It's all about what you say and the confidence in knowing within yourself what you're doing and why you're doing it. That will cause the policeman who thinks he's in charge to realise, oh, okay, you can't stand there and talk to nobody. You've already walked over there. And then he's like, oh, no, you come over here, mate. I'm already over here. You come over here. Okay? And then when you understand more, you'll be able to say, actually, I'm the people. Okay? So as you studied, it clearly states in the Constitution, in the preamble of the Constitution, that the supreme, absolute and uncontrollable authority resides in the people. In the people. And when you understand that properly, it's because it runs back up to the belief that it's God who gives the power. The power has to come from somewhere. You don't just get to go, oh, I'm putting on a uniform, now I have power. No, it's what's placed in you or upon you, right? And it's certainly not a set of clothes. All right, so the understanding is that the authority has been placed in the people, and most people see that as the group of people, which is true. So that means the power is actually walking amongst us in that sense, and we've been authorised. But if you understand it properly too, it also means that that supreme power has come to reside within us as an individual. So that's why each individual within the people. It doesn't say the people when they're a group, it says within the people. And I'm one of the people, and you're one of the people. So that authority resides within us. So then you can speak with the universe provided power and authority. Power, authority, interchangeable, okay? All right, so if you're the employee, again, make it as easy as possible for the person to be able to do what they do. Assist them in every way you possibly can, and even become the shield to when the manager comes out and wants to. Because what will happen is, when more and more people come and try and attack you, it's harder and harder to think straight and so on. So you need to become the first line of defence for the people that you're standing for. So the customer that comes in the door, you must become their first line of defence against an attack higher up in the company. And then if your manager understands it, they'll become the shield bearer for you and the customer. Okay? So it's got to work in reverse of what they're trying to do. To the government, the first line of attack is the employee. When somebody stands up with their rights, the first line of defence becomes the employee for the government. Okay? And then the manager's becomes the first line attack against the employee. And if at possible, if the employee just steps to the side, now the manager can attack the customer directly. Okay? So when you can grasp this side of things, you'll understand how to place yourself strategically to be able to handle an assault coming on you, and how to defend for yourself and in turn for others, because that's what's important. Then they'll back down. If the manager's got 2 customers and 3 employees standing there saying, no, but it's their lawful right. I understand what the government's legal system's trying to do, but they have a lawful right. Surely we should be doing the right thing in this situation. And that'll begin to change the thoughts of the manager, and in turn, it'll need to go to the owner. Okay, so you get that employee and manager perspective. Then you've got a business owner. Now I speak to you as a business owner if you are one, and also to those who are dealing with a business owner. Some cases you may get to speak to them if they're a smaller business. If they're a bigger one, you might have to work through making contacts, writing letters and things like that. Okay, so every interaction you have, keep a copy. Get a video like this, write a letter, keep a copy. Receive the letter, keep a copy. Okay, keep everything you possibly have to right now as though you're preparing to go to court, because in some cases, some of us will have to deliberately to put the pressure onto the companies, and when they start losing their businesses and so on, which is not what we want, but if need be by principle, we're going to have to do it until they stop being a big shield to the government. Okay, they're doing the same thing with your taxes, by the way. They've been doing it to us for years. I don't know if you know or not, but income tax is actually voluntary. How do you like that? And the tax office itself is not actually recognised as any part of the original government. It's a company in its own right that has just been set up to steal your income. Okay, so you're working all week and you give nearly, a quarter to creeping up to a third of your income to an organisation that isn't even recognised under common law, etc. Stealing from us. On that money goes off. You think it's helping Australia? A lot of it's not. A lot of it's going off to international people, okay? So start to learn your rights. As I keep saying, know your rights group. Rights, RIGHTS, rights. knowyourrightsgroup.com.au is the major source. There's also AussieSpeedingFines.com to fight back against all types of fines, every type of fine, okay? Now, when you're dealing with the police, it's the same kind of thing. Understand that the police are trying to trap you. Now, there's good police, don't get me wrong, but they're trained in their system to believe that you're the criminal, but they'll say things like, oh, look, we just want to help you. and some of them mean that in one hand, but then operate the system they've been taught subconsciously and trap you until they've got you charged and fined and jailed. Okay? So if you don't know what to say, use your lawful right to remain silent. You do not have to fight you do not have to deal with any of this until you're into a Chapter 3 court with a jury of your peers. Okay? Even for a speeding fine or a red light camera fine. Okay, but they've tried to make this system look so complicated and so scary and so expensive and all those things, and it's all a lie. It's all a big bluff they've put in front of you. And when you learn these things, you'll be able to go into court and defend yourself at no cost and so on. And then when you win, and you will, in most cases you'll win, and if you don't, you just push on to the next level, okay? And take your time and so on and get more information, get people to help you and so on, and then go into the next case and beat it there. And when you win, you claim all your costs. So your time and the material that I've suggested, you can claim that over and over to the best I can tell, because you needed it for every case. So why can't you claim it in every case? Makes sense to me. All right. Okay, so the police, same deal. Now you've got to begin to get your head around, first of all, go and learn about your strawman entity. It's what they've created under your birth certificate, and basically it's when they interact with you, they're looking at you as a company that they've created. That's why you'll see on your license and so on that your name is in all capital letters. And without going into that too much, they've basically just created a company, and then they've tricked you into believing that anything that they try and charge the company, you have to pay the price of it. Okay, and you don't. But it's in your wording that they're trapping you. So you have to unlearn the slave language and start to learn the master language. Okay, you'll be able to understand when they're speaking in slave, and you'll understand a slave person who's still in slavery speaking in slave, so you'll be able to relate to them on that language. But when it matters and it can be held against you, you'll speak master language and step outside of their box. They're always trying to trap you into a box which is a prison. So they're trapping you into a box with what you say so that they can hand you a fine. And if you understand that and step out of it, they trap you into the next box to try and get you to believe you've got to go to court. And you step outside of that, and like when you're talking to the judge traps you into a box believing you have to stand there and continue the conversation when you actually don't. You're a free man. You can walk in and out of that court if you like. The courts themselves are just a company also set up. Okay, so if I walked into Coles and they wanted to trap me to say I have to stand there and keep handing money over every day for the rest of my life, I just simply say, no, I'm not part of that, I'm walking out. Bye. All right, but when you're into the court levels, you'll need to understand a bit more to know how to handle that properly. Otherwise, you'll catch yourself out, and then that's where they'll really try and throw the book at you as an example. Okay, so is it a little bit scary? Sure, but don't be afraid of something that's scary. Okay. Be courageous. Learn. Don't, when you're learning to ride a bike, you don't get a few basic details and then find the biggest mountain you can find to try and ride down. No, learn on the flat. If need be, put some trainer wheels on. So I encourage people to do mock practice with each other. One pretend to be a policeman, the other one has been pulled over, or go or practice with a shop, and then have a third person as a manager who's going to come in and try and lord it over you even more, and so on. So practice like those sort of environments until you feel encouraged enough to be able to do it out there. Okay, work your way up like that. Sheriffs and all those sort of things, you're the same. And if you're one of those, look, you're doing a great job, the best you know how to. We applaud you for that. The people in general don't disrespect any of these public servants. We know that they have a role. We applaud the ones who actually do a great job. We're just simply saying we've had enough of the system. It's dishonest. It was never meant to be the way. We all knew it in our heart of hearts. And we're asking for people in those positions to begin to wake up and start finding the courage to stand by the people. The police and so on are actually the people's police. Then you're not there to guard the politicians. You were there to go and arrest the politicians on behalf of the people. You were there to arrest other police who were corrupt. You were there to arrest judges who were corrupt. You're the people's police. You've got to begin to grasp that. You're the people's police. You are the line of defence for the people against a corrupt government. Okay? What I would encourage police who are trying to understand what to do and so on in this situation, if you're called to go to a riot, then start sending a clear message without rebelling against them. Send a clear message you're not for them either. So what I suggest is when you're lining up, don't face like an army stature. Don't face the people. Okay? people who are on the left face inward. People who are on the right face inward, so that you're generating sort of a pathway, which would mean if you guys are here facing this way, and I hope you can see that, and the other police are facing this way. Leave a little bit of a gap if at all possible. In other words, to send a message, there's a pathway between open communication between the people and the government. Okay? We're not on either side unless either side starts attacking. Okay? Because every conversation should be done peacefully. If the people start to attack, you would turn and face. Okay? And as soon as they stop attacking, turn back and form your line. Send a clear message. Send a spokesperson out to them and say, listen, we're going to form this way so that you understand that we are not against you. We are your police force. We're your police force first and foremost. However, they are also human beings in there. They are the people also, even if they have a servant role. We cannot allow you to hurt them. That is our role. Nobody's to hurt anybody. We're the mediator. We're to get between, right? You're putting your arms out. No. Go back to conversation. There's going to be no violence here. Go back to conversation. But what's happening is you're being used to attack the people from even trying to say, we want to speak. And the government's saying, trying to convince you, you're our police, you go out there and assault them for us. We're cowards. Okay? We higher than you, we can't be bothered getting our hands dirty. We're going to send you to assault them, and then when somebody on this side knows enough, you're the one who's going to lose your house, not us. You're going to lose your job, not us, etc. Okay? So form a line like that. Then that way, if it's the politicians that come out to assault the people, you turn and face them. Face your shields towards them and show them, no, we're with the people. It's people first and foremost, not government. Okay? When you're willing to talk correctly and not bring military power and all that sort of stuff to attack the people, then we will stand sideways again, a bit like guards at a door to the king's room. Okay? Although they stand facing out because, again, they believe they're defending the king. But it was never meant to be that way. A king is another person. No person's allowed to have that much, should ever be allowed to have that much authority and everything. He can lord it over and hurt another person. All right? That's why they got rid of the kings under the Magna Carta and so on. Okay? So create this pathway for open communication. Send a clear message. Have the courage, guys. Policemen, policewomen who are trying to sort through this and want to be good. You got in because you wanted to do the right things. Now's your opportunity more than ever. And I'll let you know personally, I'm proud of you. I don't have to meet you to care about you. It's a choice. Okay? I've made friends with everybody on this planet. I made up in my mind a long time ago. Everybody is my friend, whether they know it or not. Now, I'm not saying that I'm their friend necessarily. They may never want to make me a friend, and I'm okay with that. But they can't stop me from deciding that they're my friend, and they could treat me horribly, but if I see them hungry, I'll feed them. If I see them hurt, I will bring healing, assistance. If they're cold, I'll put a blanket and so on. They're my friend whether I've met them or not, all over the world. So that includes you, okay? All right. Judges is another thing altogether. We need honest judges, but we don't need you bailing out. What we need is for judges to start operating correctly. For example, I've come to the understanding that when we are supposed to operate under, the person is innocent until proven guilty. Proven guilty, beyond reasonable doubt. Okay? So you are supposed to also stand there when somebody comes in accusing, you are to stand there and put your arms out and say, stop. I'm not going to allow the assault from this person onto the person you have dragged before me, okay? And this is going to go no further until you have convinced me. I am this person's shield. You're the one doing the attacking. I am their shield until you can prove to me they've actually committed a crime. That means there has to be a victim. Come on, guys, you know this. You are supposed to be the ones reminding the people of the correct law, not lying to the people and not hiding the law and not, and certainly not being corrupt enough to get your money and everything, whatever you might be doing. If you're one of those, please, before you get caught out and end up going to jail yourself, resign. We want the dishonest ones recognising this is getting too big for them and resigning, either correcting their attitudes and humbly coming out and acknowledging their wrongdoings, and if you have to pay a consequence, so be it, but have the courage to face it and accept it, okay? And then the people will be lighter on you when it's your turn. But if you're corrupt,